I'm Dan Fine, and welcome to Future Considerations, my podcast about things you need to think about for a better future before it's too late. Welcome back to part 2 of my conversation with Blake about harm reduction. Let's get right back into it.
The biggest issue is coordination, is the fact that he is so uncoordinated.
Yes, I mean, I think ultimately that and, so staffing is a huge issue, and I think with staffing comes money. So I think funding into more recovery. I always think that there should be more money allocated to the recovery process because there's a lot of money that is needed. For example, sober housing and second stage housing for when someone's done treatment, so someone can actually come back to a safe and supported environment. I think it's really important. So I think money and coordination, or even just a reallocation of money. So if you can take a little bit from the harm reduction pie and move it over, not all, we still need harm reduction, but if we can take some of that money that's being allocated, because I'll tell you, if you talk to a lot of people that are working the field, they can tell you where the gaps are. So you actually just got to start listening to people and figuring out, okay, what are the solutions to filling those gaps?
I asked Blake what he thinks we need to do differently to fill those gaps.
All these buildings that are being used and being run exactly the same, if we take one or two of those buildings and make them sober sites, if we make those sober, safe facilities, you have people in there, umbrella workers or, social workers, anyone that can help support you during those times. You get good programming in there. If you have one or two of those sites, that would be a huge difference because then people know if I'm going to go off to detox or to treatment, I've got this safe place to come back to. It's going to be way easier. So, I mean, those are some pretty easy, no-brainers. What it would take to actually make those changes, it's always insurmountable. It seems insurmountable, right? But really at the end of the day, those are kind of cut and dry, easy decisions for me, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah.
I was going to ask, is that really one of the other issues that you see is the fact that as soon as people get out of care, they have to basically they become sober and they immediately have to go back to a place where drug use is rampant and the possibilities of relapse is just right in front of them.
Yeah, so I mean that's what happened. I mean these housing units, they're supposed to be transitional housing units, and what happens is there's not a lot of transition happening, and so people end up going, hang on a second, so if I go to detox and then to treatment, I may lose this. What if I haven't had a home for 3 years? I finally have this space to myself. I decided I want to go and get better. I may lose that space. Or let's say I go through it. I got to come back here where there's drug use outside my door every day and my dealer's down the hall. So they know good well, they're like, I'm not going to last. So why am I going to go through all this work just to end up back here, right? So not having that hope to say, hey, you know what? We can get you out of this and we can get you into somewhere that's safe and that's somewhere that's supported. Man, just having that peace of mind going into this really daunting journey of recovery, well, that's really, I mean, for me, that's absolutely instrumental into actually having people take that chance and try to get better, right? Mm-hmm. But right now it's like, oh, well, hang on a second, I'm just going to be back here. Well, why am I going to try, right? And I would say, if you're an addict, you're looking for any excuse not to do it because it's so scary to try thinking about getting off of substances. It's so scary and so daunting that, man, if you have all these barriers in place, it doesn't take much for you to go, no, sorry, because of this and this, I'm not going to do it, right? Because at the end of the day, that addiction has a firm grasp on people when they're in active addiction. And so we're not making it a very hopeful prospect to enter into recovery right now. And we need to make that as hopeful as possible. Don't worry, we got you. We're going to support you. So that's, and the most frustrating part is, I think even with the funds available now going into this crisis, we could make that happen. We just are too nearsighted right now and too politicized to actually make that a reality.
I asked Blake what keeps him going through all the challenges that exist.
People, we see, the cool thing is, I've seen so many wonderful individuals make that change and stick. The amount of people that you would think never had a chance, that are now 5 years in sobriety, 6 years in sobriety, it blows me away, and that's what keeps me going, because I see it work time and time again. The people that actually get through those barriers, that maybe get a little bit of luck, that have those supports in place, and to see them now, like getting their families back, putting their lives back together, it's amazing. So yeah, that gives me hope. I wish that there was more. Like, I wish that we could see that, but man, the amount of clients that will call me that are now 6 years sober, and I met them at Wilkinson Jail, and they're like, 110 pounds and close to death, and now we're like super healthy and working and, got their lives back. It's really cool, so that's what keeps me going, is to see that it actually does work, and that people can, come back, and we've got these 2 recovery houses, Foundation House and Potter House, and the amount of folks that we've seen come through there, that the absolute transformation from when they first came into the house to now they're 2-3 years sober, what a difference, right? And you see someone build their relationships back up and put their life back together. It's really, really encouraging.
One of my major takeaways from my interview with Blake was the fact that we lack a continuity of care here in BC. Continuity of care is this idea that we need to make sure that all steps of the process, people have people to help them there. But our lack of that is a key contributor to why we have so much addiction and so many overdoses here in BC. And on top of that, was a key partner, along with Safe Supply, in the Portugal model. Our inability to implement both sides of the model are one of the reasons we are failing to solve the overdose crisis as it stands right now. If we don't find our way soon, more people will die, and I think that's unacceptable. Thank you for listening. Big thanks to Blake for sitting down with me. Special thanks to Jen Scott, Eric Fine, Mark Neufeld, Joanna Linker, and Graham Mitchell. This has been Future Considerations. I'm Dan and Fine. Till next time.